Hi, challenge buddies. Welcome to today's workshop. It's all about color, so I decided to bring on. I was missing something, so I got these. Our new sunglasses for spring, and also a little bit of, you know, florals around me because I thought we needed a bit of color, right? Like this is the workshop where we bring our illustration to life with color. So, um, I'm very excited about this one because I'm gonna show you. I have shown my challenge buddies before, but basically what happens is we're gonna do a bit of color testing before diving into our sketchbook. So I'll show you what happens if you don't do that. Basically, let me see actually if I can show you from the top so that you can see. We can end up with something like this, which is fine, right? But how much more interesting is it when we end up with this illustration? Now, the colors here, as we say, are a bit more literal, right? Like we have a blue sky, you know, and the clouds are white and everything's, and the water apparently is green and everything. It's a bit too like saturated, it's a bit too literal. And not very like, there's not a lot of creativity going on. So I was like, when I did that for the first time, I was like, that's looking weird, especially because of the blue sky. Basically, that was my issue. And then I was like, what if I actually, when I did that for the first time, I went for a walk. I was like, I don't like this. I went for a walk, which I do pretty often when things are a bit stuck in my head. And there was like a beautiful sunset sky. And so then I came back to my sketchbook and I was like, what if we make the sky pink, like the sunset? And then from there, I went on to adding the color, this like orange to the water. And so I thought more about a mood that I wanted to communicate instead of what each thing is supposed to be, or what each thing is supposed to look like. It was more like, what is the mood that I want to go for? And that's when I decided to apply the sunset color palette to the illustration. Anyway, we're going to be doing something like that. And so in order to reach that, first we have to test our colors. So we're gonna go with my color palette for this one, but you can always do the same thing and you can apply it to your own illustration and the colors that you have at home, the things that you're gonna be using. As you know, as you may know, I'm going to be using my Posca markers. And so there's like a limited color palette that I'm going to be working with. That is very helpful. You may know that, you know, color, it's such a broad subject and I'm obsessed with it. So I really want to tell you everything, but as I say, I'm going to pace myself. I say it every time because I wanted to be able to use this information and apply it to your own project, your own illustration. So we're not gonna get like overwhelmed with stuff. So we have this. This is the last thing that we did. We created our illustration in Procreate, and from there we were supposed to print it. We were supposed to trace it on our sketchbook. We're here. So we have this. What I did was I duplicated this same file that we worked with. And what I'm gonna do now is delete the stuff that I don't need, like the things that I originally traced. And then I'm gonna merge everything. Okay, you see I forgot to delete that. Oh, it's here. Okay. Okay, so we have this. What we're gonna do is And remember, please, to before you do this, to duplicate the original file so that you have it. Here, what I want to do is I'm going to start with 2 color tests because sometimes the first one works. In my Skillshare class, I teach you how to make 4 different ones, but the difference is that in that class we make 1 house. Here we have a bit more going on, so we're gonna stick with 2 color tests. So what I did, let me see, I actually like created swatches with mine. I'm gonna do it here with this like interesting quote. So for example, right, I got my markers. So what I do is I haven't used these ones in a while. I create little circles like that. Let me find the others. Okay. I just wanted to like finish using some of them before opening the new ones, but you get the point. Let's see. This is definitely not new. Okay, here. So I create like 3 circles like that, or however many colors I'm going to be using, right? And then I take a picture, as we did with our sketch. I put it into my iPad, and then I create swatches. So for example, like I made this to make it look more interesting, but you would like hold your finger like that and then go to palettes, create new palettes. We're up here, and you're gonna get an untitled one. We can call it 123 Sketchbook, like our creative adventure. And we're gonna tap on the first one, then do the same here with a second color. By the way, when you take the picture and you put it in the iPad, you're gonna do the same thing that I'm doing now with your colors, right? So wherever you have the color, you're gonna tap and hold, and your color is gonna come up here. And then when you tap into the color palette, then you kind of save it so that you make your life easier. Okay. So we have all of these. These are the Posca markers. If you want to delete something, you just hold it in the palette, and then you get the little trash can if you do something wrong. And if you want to move something around, you also hold, tap and hold, and you arrange it however you want. Okay, so we have our palette. I'm gonna hide this. I'm gonna create a layer on top of everything, and then I'm gonna make that layer, I'm gonna change the blending mode of that layer to multiply, like that. And I'm going to get any brush that you want, and I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna focus on this guy, Ron. So Ron is a librarian, and I was thinking of like developing the story a little more. He likes classical music. He gets chills when he listens to some songs, you know, that he's that kind of guy. And I think that you can make your story as superficial or as deep as you want, but I like adding these like very, very specific details to them, because then as we create more and more things in this sketchbook, more ideas will come to you. When a character has these like specific traits, if you will, then you get better ideas for them down the line. Okay, so we're in the layer with multiply. I'm just going to I'm gonna give him some color, so maybe he's going to be a bit beige, like this. Like, I think it's this marker, one of these. This is like it's supposed to be super fast because we're not adding color to something, we're just getting an idea of how it's going to look. So we have to have a very general idea. Then his shirt can be red, maybe. His sunglasses or his glasses can also have a red frame. His nose can be pink. I have like a very saturated pink here, but I'm pretty sure, I don't know now. I may have to use, so this is another thing that I wanted to say, we're gonna get to it, but we are going to use other things for the lines, right? Because, for example, right, like what happens with all these lines if we paint with acrylic markers, we're gonna lose a lot of the detail that we have, and we don't want that, because as I said before, you don't want to lose the essence of your drawings, of your original sketches. So we're gonna have to use that. We're going to have to use fine liners. We're going to use these other like dual tip brushes. I have like a whole toolkit linked in the description if you want to use any of my tools. So we have this guy. What I'm gonna do maybe for the background is maybe the background can be purple. So again, super I could create another layer so that in case I want to change the background, I don't spend too much time doing this again. And you see, I don't even care where I'm painting. I want to get a general idea, and that's it. This is like to test the color distribution and the colors that we're going to be picking. Okay, we have him. That's it. Let's see. We're going to move on to these ladies. I ended up making them ladies, both of them. I already traced my sketch, and so I added like some eyelashes and I don't know. Because I want them to be sisters. I told my challenge buddies during our call last week that the story had changed a little bit. That's also what happens to me whenever I allow myself to think in between workshops. It's very helpful. My head kind of like puts the pieces together. Okay, so these for this part, I'm actually pretty convinced that I'm just gonna do this because the sun is making me look really weird. So let's just take a look at them. Okay. I actually love the idea of making the whole background pink for them, and that is also going to, I already anticipate that is going to be a lot of fun because that's gonna take a while. But I love the idea of creating giving it a pink background fully. This is another thing where we don't go too literal, and it's like I mean, I guess it could be that the bathroom is pink where they are, but it could also be just, as I said, the mood. And I still have to decide if these people are in the same house, in different rooms, or in different houses. But we're going to get to that when we get to the next page in our spread. Okay, we have the backgrounds. I would like maybe to have the flowers can be also pink. And what I'm gonna do with this mug is take advantage of the fact that the page, like the color of my paper is gonna become a color of my palette. So the color of where I'm drawing, I'm not gonna also add white here with markers. I could, I don't have to. And so I'm gonna take advantage of not painting that, and that negative space in itself is going to become the mug. Another thing that is going to be very interesting to talk about with color is layers, because when I approach the let's see I want to also say something about what I want to add to this. But basically, when I approach something like this, I paint, for example, everything that's pink, then everything that's red. And so you're going to learn a lot about layers with this part of our creative adventure. So what I'm doing here is, because this mug is supposed to have tea with milk, I decided I'm gonna make it this color. It could also be coffee or a latte. And again, I'm going to take advantage. I could make her white with markers. I'm gonna see, but I could again take advantage of not doing anything, because I will have this color all around her. So I will have the edges defined. We'll get to it. Okay, so we could also add some color to this, to her drink. All right, and then this one, you could start seeing how things are gonna make sense. So maybe because we have purple here, then we can also add purple to her mug and to her shirt. And then she can be also white and have the inner part of the ears be that color. Her nose can be pink. It's okay to go like kind of like typical or expected or whatever you want to call it for those parts, right? Like for the nose, I mean, that's okay. You don't have to make the nose green. It can be literal. And maybe, I mean, this is like too much, but it could be yellow. Then that's a dandelion. I'm gonna make it white. Okay, and then finally this guy. Let's see what would make sense here. I don't want to add too many more colors to the backgrounds, so I may make this one just this beige. It could also be blue, but I don't think it's gonna go that well with that purple there. You can also do something like this and then start, this helps me sometimes when I'm kind of stuck. Then you start erasing the parts that you don't want in that color. Okay, maybe the frame can be pink and the inside can be I like that I said that we're supposed to do this fast and I keep getting hung up on details here. Okay. And then for his overalls, I'm gonna make them this color. And let's see how a green would look. It may be too many colors, but we're gonna go for it. That's fine. We have another color test, so if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm trying to think of like what to make about those shoes. I guess they could also be just black. Okay. Okay, so we have the first color test. Now let's think about this one. Now I'm starting to sometimes you need to warm up before everything that you do in terms of art. So I'm starting to like the idea about this being yellow. And maybe that window can be this color, so there's like a sunset sky outside, or pink. These are like slightly off, like they're probably going to look less saturated in when we go to the paper, but okay. This reminds me of a book a childhood book. I actually have it like pretty close, but to me, but not. I would have to stand up, so I don't want to get distracted. Okay. You see, I'm going literal about that carrot. Think this one is already looking better because this one has a lot of contrast issues that I don't like. This one is working way better. And let's see, I have to still work on Ron, but I like how these colors are working together. Or purple and yellow go really well together sometimes. And we can take advantage of purple for this background. Did we do that before too? Yeah, I guess that can stay. And honestly, another thing that I would try is to see how it looks if it's beige. Let's see, we're gonna duplicate. And we're gonna bring over this. Like a quick test. A quick second test. Of his shirt being this color. It goes away from the rest of the palette, to be honest. So it could be purple, maybe. Okay. Okay, I like this, but let's see what happens with the purple background. Which one do you like the most? I think I'm leaning towards this one. I think the purple is more interesting as the background than this. And we'll see. I mean, I could make him wear that shirt. I could incorporate that red into it. Okay, so now that we have our color tests, we can keep this by our side. And we should keep the original sketch, because as I told you before, let's switch. Here we go. Here's what I traced. And I am going to lose some stuff when I'm adding color. And so I'm going to refer back to this to add detail. I'm going to prepare my markers and we're going to get started. Okay, so a few tips on this. You're going to want to have, as I started with this here, something handy to prime your markers. This happens because like I wanted to get ready before we began, because you do have to, I don't know if you've ever used acrylic paint markers. Now I primed all of them, but what you should do, oh here, we have one. They're gonna look like this, right? And so what you should do is press and for a little bit, and then the paint starts flowing. Another thing that I do later on when I'm kind of like running out is shake them and prime them again like that, like press and wait and until you get to the very end when they are dry, and that's sad, but that's how things go. Another tip, I use binder clips to keep my pages kind of like there, so I don't have to keep holding them. It's gonna come in handy also like later down the line when we have a lot of pages, and so Otherwise we're gonna be like this, you know, like you don't want that. So you're gonna end up probably putting it on the side like this. It's actually very helpful. Then, you know, when you actually create or paint the background, we can remove it for a little bit, and that's it. Okay, we're gonna get started with our color, adding color to from our color test to our actual page. So I'm excited about the yellow, so let's begin there. I'm gonna let you watch like last time, and if I have any comments you'll hear from me. I mean, in general, because of how I do it, as I told you, I paint in layers. So I create, for example, everything that's yellow first, then everything that's purple, and so on. So I don't have a lot of trouble waiting for things to dry, because it dries as I go, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. One comment that I want to make is that, let's do this for now, is that I like using these different types of markers. They have like different sizes of tips. This one is the smallest one, the fine tip. And then for something like the background, I really like using the medium brush. It's very rare that I use the super thick one, unless I'm trying to, maybe if I have like, I don't know, one small thing here and then I want to paint the full background, then in that case I would, but otherwise I stick to those two sizes. Okay, so I actually went all around the outlines of where I want to add yellow, and now I'm going to switch to the medium one so that I can go faster. Okay, we have our background. In general, I give it like maybe a couple of layers. At this point, I'm gonna allow it to dry. But we also had, I forgot, the other thing that was yellow was this background of the frame. And I don't know if you're paying attention, but be super careful with your hands. But I got used to this, so I do things very naturally. But there were many times in the past when I would like put my hands there, and then, I mean, honestly, it doesn't matter too much because it comes off easily. But just so your art doesn't get ruined. All right, so now we're gonna go to pink. So this is going to be a little bit because we have all of this, as you may remember, a few details there, and then all of the noses. A bit watery, so I decided to shake it, and I'm going to have to let it dry. Definitely going to put another layer on top because it's not looking like acrylic paint markers should look. Oh, this is something that I wanted to say. I'm gonna bring myself up here for a moment. And I forgot, it was in the beginning. I'm gonna switch like this because it's gonna help me. There we go. Sometimes you have to help yourself with the position of the sketchbook and everything. Anyway, I wanted to let you know that you may be interacting in the chat now, but if you wanted to focus on your illustration, here I have to be careful. I'm not gonna do that because otherwise I may end up smudging. If you want to take the time to create your art, because I know that all or most of us have very limited time available for ourselves. And so maybe you do want to take this hour to create art, and so I don't want to distract you in the chat, current future version of myself. So if you want to create and just focus on that, I'm not going to be upset. I'm going to be hanging out there in case anyone wants to chat. But if you really wanted to spend this time creating art, I wanted to give you permission to do that. Because that's why I love these workshops. That it seems that in my mind, I had this thought for a while that we needed different kinds of workshops and get-togethers and calls and stuff like that, so that we can be a bit more laid back in some of them, and then in others we can get to work. No, I'm kidding. It's just that I understand that, I mean, maybe this may be the only time that you have to do this, so why not spend it creating? Anyway, that's something that was in my mind the other day, and I wanted to say it. Was the pink like this in general? I don't remember. Anyway, we're gonna have to do a few layers in that case. I don't care too much about what's happening with the way that the marker is looking, because I'm going to give it more layers. So I don't care, because otherwise I would be very mindful about the direction of the lines. But the idea is for this to be solid once you give it a couple of layers. And I'm trying to get rid of these little bits of paper, I guess. I don't know what it is exactly, or no, it's part of the marker that just sticks behind. Here we go. I've learned to pick them up with the tip of the marker. That has worked best. To tell on the video, but I'm trying to be very gentle with the marker. I'm putting it on the side, and because otherwise it does, like, the tip does get a bit damaged, and also, like, the ink flows better if you let it rest, like, on the side a bit. And now actually the real paint, I guess it's not technically ink, but the real paint is coming through, because it's not that watered down anymore. So I guess it was too new, and I guess because pink is a bit lighter, a bit of a lighter color, then that's why it just needed a moment. Sometimes they need a moment to be themselves. And since we're talking about story time, so let me come up here. We were talking about this the other day. This story of these twin sisters, the rabbits. You see, my story started like very different, and now they became twin sisters. That's what we ended up with. And the one on the left is called Heather, and the one on the right is called Feather. And Heather is she's very calm. She likes taking baths to think very deeply about her issues, and about other people's issues. And so her sister Feather is there with her, asking for advice. Heather likes letting things sink in. Anyway, and Feather is more of a free spirit kind of character. So she needs help from her more rational sister, if you will. I think that there were like a lot of cool ideas the other day during the call, where you kind of like try to answer the question, does anyone else feel like this? And whatever that means to you, like whatever thought, whatever experience. I hope that is actually, like, you can hear me and not the marker, by the way. Maybe it's an experience that you had. Maybe it's like a thing that always happens to you. Those kinds of things tend to be the best for to give a story to your character. So something that happens maybe with your family, like, for example, One thing that I thought would be funny to add to one of these characters was um, one of them is the kind of person that answers you too when someone says happy birthday instead of thank you. I don't know if that ever happened to you, but that's the kind of like thing that we're going for. It's like super specific and it's relatable and it can be funny. It doesn't have to, but it can be funny. For example, Heather is a kind of person that lets things sink in, but also the kind of person that will answer that when someone says happy birthday, she'll answer you too instead of thank you. That may work. Like for example, we I happen to have an example for when it may work. Our challenge buddies, Ruth and Juju, have the same birthday. So in that case, in that very specific case, it would be fine. Anyway, so what I was going to say before continuing this, um, as I told you before, like those lines are gonna go away once we give it like I would probably give it one more layer, not any more than that. Um, and if you feel that the paper is wet, let it dry because the paper needs to feel firm and dry underneath the marker. Otherwise, it starts like you're gonna start ruining the page. That happens a lot with this type of marker. I learned by doing that you really need to let it dry. Then it becomes like a thing that you can layer on top of. It's probably like, is it similar to wash? I don't know. Yeah, of course acrylic paint, but I think the layering part is similar to wash. Anyway, oh, I forgot. We have this window. You see, now, let me see if I can show you. I can't show you closer. But now that is the way that it sounds. You're probably hearing it, and that is the way that it looks. Because the other one looked like watercolor. I don't know what happened to it. Anyway, we're gonna continue. Don't you love Ron? He's such a cool character. He already has a lot of personality. And I love him. I love how he looks like this. I'm gonna leave him be white. Um, he kind of reminds me of the rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. So I imagine that his house looks kind of like it has a lot of bookshelves and of course he's a librarian. And he has like a lot of is it grandfather clocks? Is he a grandfather? Probably. Maybe he's the grandfather of Heather and Feather. He listens to classical music. He has a very cozy home. And the other things that I like thinking about, this is stuff that I do in, I've shown you before, that I do in my one-on-one session, Let's Draw Together. What stuff scares Ron, for example? Like, what's his worst fear? Probably messy houses. Maybe he even has arguments with Feather about it. I imagine that she is not very tidy. And then what kind of food does he like? What does his house look like? All of these things are also going to help you understand him as a character, and then other stories that he can have throughout the sketchbook. If we decide that we want to keep going with him, if not, like, we don't have to commit to one character, but it's something that I like thinking about that helps me add different things to the illustrations that I create. And I also like the idea of starting here and then having this page blank page right here, because as I'm doing this and I'm asking myself all these questions, stuff like starts asking me to be on this side. I know we said that we were going to draw houses, but the idea of how those houses are, and or potentially the like not having houses here, having something else, is a possibility. So I like leaving that blank page to help me kind of like complete some story. Well, that one is gonna get better as it dries. We just need to give it a minute. I like comparing, gonna take a break. I like comparing the first drawing of a sketchbook to the first piece of cake that you cut from a cake. It never comes out great. You always have to, like, the second one comes up better, but I still think this guy is fine. It's just that sometimes markers, they really need, like, especially these need a bit of, if you're going to do a full background, you need to give it layers. And it does end up looking solid. It's just that it is a lot. It is a lot to cover. I'm gonna continue with the purple. There are a few more. There's the pillows, a couple of flowers, and then we only have a few more details left, like the clothing, with acrylic markers, and then I'm just gonna go with the final details for some lines. most are acrylic markers. I have not found, like, I did find the teal, but it's dead. Poor guy. So I couldn't use it for his shirts. Other than that, everything else that from the color test is there. Let's give it a look. And I changed her. She's not tea with milk color anymore. It was easier. Anyway, so now I'm gonna go with the lines and some details that now that most things probably dried up, I can add those details, and I'm gonna add some with the markers, like the Sharpies, like these. I love getting my hands dirty. That reminds me that we're doing things analog, and that's what happens, and that's awesome because I hadn't done it in such a long time. Okay, so I'm going to use like different markers like these to add lines that I need for extra detail. Okay, well, we are done. I did have like a little bit of a mishap, but everything can be fixed with a little bit of white ink. So the issue that I was having with some parts was that I don't have my fine liner, so I had to use. They disappeared. I don't know where they went. So I had to use this one that apparently leaks or whatever. So I was trying to be super careful with the lines that I wanted to add. And some of them I'm going to go over with a little bit of white pen. Like, also don't know where it is. I don't know. My stuff disappeared. Does that happen to you? Does that happen to anyone else? Is that the thing that happens to Feather? Probably. So yeah, I will go over some of the lines with white because I wasn't sure, honestly, if I wanted to add lines or not. I felt that some parts needed a bit of detail, but by adding like these lines that are thicker than I wanted, I ended up in a place that's like in between, and so I feel like now I have to add lines everywhere. So we'll see. As I said, The first page of a sketchbook tends to be like the first slice of cake. It never comes out right. But we do have it. It's done. So in case like I don't want to touch this too much because my hands I need like are in deep need of being washed. But if you, in case you don't remember, here are the in between pages, and here is the first page. I don't use those. We are going to work on this later down the line because we need to know what our sketchbook is going to be before creating a cover, in my opinion. And then the in-between pages are a really fun part of this like series of workshops that we're also going to get to. Once we're past this, we're gonna work on this next time. And then these are going to be the in-between pages. So we're gonna have 2 sets of in-between pages to play with. And I can't wait to tell you everything that I've thought for those in-between pages. It's a lot of fun. So I hope that you created something while you were watching, that you had some time to spend on your creativity, even if it was like a tiny bit, as I always say. And we're going to see each other next, here we go, next week on Wednesday, as usual. It got pretty dark in here. I love my hands. If you created something and you ended up like this, take a picture of your hands and post them in the community space. If you don't know, if you're here and you came across this workshop and you don't know what I'm talking about, we have a community space on the platform School. So you're invited to join. If you join the whole series, you get access to a community space, and there you can show what you've been working on. You can share your beautiful illustrations, and I can't wait to see your characters and see what stories start coming up. You'll find the link in the description to join our creative adventure. And there's a resource in case you want to get it for free that's related to all of this. It helps you come up with ideas and give more elements to your characters. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next week.